Okay, I need you to please be very careful about all these sayings or all these things that there people are constantly saying about you having to love money or the love of money and all this kind of bullshit. And oh, don't be life is not all about money. Eh, there's more to life to money. All those kind of nonsense talks about money. Bringing money down, making you feel guilty for just wanting to have enough to be able to take care of things, general things, simple things, go on a little bit of holiday, be able to pay your mortgage, be able to pay your house rent, be able to send your kids to a decent school, whatever the case may be. We're not talking about huge amount of money here. We're just talking about being able to take care of things when it comes down to that particular time when things need to be taken care of. You know, for me personally, it's very important for me. But there's been several occasions in my life whereby I am so glad I had some cash. I am so glad that I was able to get my hands on a little bit of money. But more so recently, what happened to me personally, it's something that is very touching to me, and it's something that is very difficult, a very difficult time for me to go through. So it's quite hard for me mentally to talk about it. But I will give you this example to hopefully show the importance of making sure you have a little bit of money or access to some money, particularly in times of need, particularly in times of emergency. Honestly, you will be glad that you had worked hard to put away a little bit of savings, to put away a little bit of investment. Okay, so let me go through, let me give you this personal story of mine. And I'm sure you've got many stories as well personally. But before we go any further, okay, this is a brand new channel and I'm trying to get this message out to as many people as possible as we can reach out to, okay, to hopefully learn one or two things about the things that I say. So I'd ask you for a big favor. Big favor. It takes 5 seconds. It's absolutely free for you. So just take a minute, just or a second, just hit that like button below your screen and hit the subscribe button so that this video can hopefully reach out to more people, one or two more people that could maybe learn from this, learn from my experience, and be able to make better financial decision. Okay, so take a 5 seconds, hit that subscribe button below, hit the like button below, and maybe send this video to one or two people if you genuinely touch your heart and you feel as though somebody could do with hearing this. Okay, so let's get into this. I married when I was very young. I'm taking you somewhere here. I married when I was very young, and from where we come from, we don't. It's like we don't recognize what divorce is. It's something that is just divorce. I mean, we know it exists, obviously, but it's just not in our community. Like no, it's not talked about. It's not something you want to go through. So, going through my marriage life and ups and downs, a lot more ups than down. I never once for 1 second thought divorce or separation or anything as such. So my financial decisions were made in line with the family remaining together forever and ever, essentially. And essentially is based on this X amount of money coming in, taking care of all this, and we'll leave with the rest or do whatever it is that we want to do with the rest. Yeah, so push things forward. Few years later, we unfortunately went through a really bad time in our marriage. But even through that, I never thought marriage would be going two separate ways. So financially, I haven't really been saving, as in privately. It's just been a family saving as such. So and making financial decisions together. So I have nothing saved personally, let's say. And even then, a few years then, I started a YouTube channel, and I was doing a little bit of a sort of like an experiment, starting with £50, putting into trading 212, £50 per week. Not sure if somebody has ever seen that video before. Years ago, I had an old channel, and this brings me to one of the reasons why that channel was deleted, essentially. But we'll go through that later. But essentially, I was putting away £50 as an experiment every single week, and to see how it grows in my trading 212 account. And unfortunately, my marriage came to an abrupt end. And when I said an abrupt end, it means I essentially went out the morning, and by the time I came home in the evening, with no inclination or no idea of anything happening, I left home in the morning with a wife and 3 children. I came back home with nothing. Okay, meeting nothing. My wife and 3 children were gone. Gone. Had no idea what was going on. Major shock to me. So, which meant, emotionally, I was down. Everything was all over the place. Whatever the case was going on personally, I needed to make some major financial decisions because we had properties, we had businesses that we were running, and money was quite tight. And everything had a place in terms of money was going to a specific place every single month. I did not really have excess as such. And I found myself in a situation whereby I had a house, a 4-bedroom house. I couldn't really live in the 4-bedroom house by myself anymore. As a single man, I could not afford it. I needed some support. So I had to make a decision of renting that 4-bedroom property. I'm single person. It's too big. It's too expensive for me to be able to use alone. And then on top of that, within a few days later, I received a letter from the child service maintenance saying that I have to be paying X amount every single week to my ex-wife for 3 children, which is about, I think, is about 19%, 20% of my salary every single month. I needed to be paying that to her every single week. And on top of that, just to remember, you're no longer getting child benefit. I've never paid for child maintenance service before because obviously my children has always been with me. I've always taken care of my children. I've always been in the I've always been in receipt, previous to that, in the receipt of the child, what do you call it? The child benefit from the government. So I was able to use that as well, essentially to put some aside for the kids and also invest some of it. Now that that's all gone, that was going again to my ex partner or ex wife, and all sorts was going on at that particular time. I needed to get this property again that we were living into a condition whereby I can rent it out. So, which meant getting rid of so many things, refurbishing the property, getting it compliance to be able to then rent it out eventually. And then on top of that, which meant I was now needing somewhere to stay, looking for a property to rent personally. In order to be able to rent property, you need deposit, you need a month in advance. And if you're very unlucky, you don't have a good record or good credit history, you might have to pay 6 months in advance. And then on top of that, I was dealing with court case as well, fight between court case, basically, personally. So it was a difficult time emotionally, but more so, it was a difficult time financially. I was extremely glad, let's just put it this way, that I had a bit of this trading 212 account that I started a few months before everything came crashing down, that I had been putting away £50 every single week and investing it there. And I had a little bit of money saved not a lot, just a couple of hundred saved. And then I had a couple of credit cards, which were not used, which were always paid in full in the past. Okay, so which meant that little bit of money that I had access to, and then I was still working, I was then able to be able to emotionally, I was down, I was all over the place, all sorts was going on, but I was able to take care of my financial responsibility at that particular time because I had a little bit of money. I had access to money. Although I had to sell all the shares, I had to take away all the savings, I had to go into credit card, I had to use surplus credit card because it was a lot of money. You know, you have to get the property compliance, you have to get it refurbished, huge amount of expenses. I have to get a new property for myself, and I have to be paying every single week child maintenance service and running an additional house for myself personally. So this was huge, huge financial strain on me. For this, I was so glad I had a little bit of money. I had access to a little bit of money. So at that particular time, money wasn't the root of all evil. Money was great. Money was extremely helpful. There were a lot of people, don't get me wrong, listen, a lot of people will wish you well at this particular time. But that particular time, you know what you need? You don't need wishes. You need some financial backing. I realized that I needed some serious financial backing. But who would I call on? Who would I go on to? You know, when those difficult time comes, it is difficult to call on anybody but yourself. You will be the one, you will be left alone by yourself to make a decision by yourself. So I'm not praying for anybody to go through difficult times in terms of finances, but things happen in the world. Washing machine breaks down, divorces happen, accidents happen. I am just asking and begging you to make sure you've got access to money, a little bit of savings, a little bit of investment. That's it. And let's just hope nothing bad happens at all. Everything goes perfectly well. What is the worst? It means at the end of the day, maybe later on in your life, when you're getting a little bit older and you can't really work too much, you will be glad that you've put away a little bit of money to be able to survive on. Or later on in life, you've got a little bit of money to be able to travel the world, to be able to do something that you've never done before, to be able to explore. Okay, all these things cost money. And also remember, let's just say everything goes really well. You did not need the money for anything to be able to tap into some maybe investment that you could get even cheaper, or maybe buy businesses that just require quick sell. They require real quick sell, and they want cash, and you're able to easily tap into this little bit of savings that you've put away to be able to acquire something that is worth significantly more, because that person is really in need of some financial backing at that particular time. So they want to sell that property, that house, that business for a quick cash. These are the things, or some of the things, that you need to consider in order to ensure that you've got a little bit of money put away every single week to be able to take care of yourself over the long term. This means an awful lot to me because of my experience personally. And I will push this message as much as I possibly can to as many people as I possibly can. If it's one or two people that can learn from my mistake and ensure they have a little bit of money put away for those rainy time, then I have done my absolute job. So that's where I'm asking for your favor. Please, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button below. It is absolutely free for you. And hit the like button below also. Honestly, it really will help this YouTube algorithm to push this message out to as many people as possible. So hopefully one or two people can learn to be able to put money away, be disciplined, and be consistent. As always, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.